Good evening. My name is Dominic Davis, and I'm the spokesperson for the NASCAR Confederation. I would like to start off by sending my deepest and sincerest condolences to the Earnhardt family and all of the fans who may be experiencing and sharing in this great loss. Dale Earnhardt was a legend, and he truly transformed the sport of NASCAR. With his larger-than-life personality and his overall love for the sport, he elevated it. Yesterday, the green flag was waved, starting one of the greatest races in our series, the Daytona 500. In the final lap, Dale Earnhardt was in a battle for third place, where his car was hit, ultimately sending him into the retaining wall. Paramedics and firefighters rushed to the scene and tried to extract him from the vehicle. Once they got him out of the vehicle, he was rushed to Halifax Hospital, where they continued life-saving procedures. Later that day at 5:16 p.m., he was officially pronounced dead to crash-related injuries. Dale Earnhardt was willing to give this sport everything he had, and he did. He once told one of his good friends that if he died out here on this track, that wasn't the tragedy. The tragedy would have been if he was on his way to the track. The Ironhead, the Intimidator, a legend, Dale Earnhardt. The association would like to announce that Dale's death will not be in vain. We are now reviewing the safety regulations and procedures that the association has in place. I would now like to open the floor for questions.
Was his car unsafe?
His car was not unsafe. Dale Earnhardt, like I said, was a legend, and he was no stranger to the sport of NASCAR. So if anyone's car out there was up and ready to drive, it was Dale's.
Yes. Do you know what speed his car was traveling upon impact?
Upon impact, he was going approximately 180 miles per hour.
Was he hit, or did he just lose control?
He was hit by another driver.
There was a 18-car pileup previously in the race. Did that have any effect on this, like loose car parts out on the track?
I do not believe that had anything to do, but the investigation is ongoing as to what exactly took place.
Did he have a seatbelt on?
He did have on a seatbelt, but anybody who knows Dale know that he likes to wear a seatbelt a little bit different, and so that could have resulted in the accident.
What do you mean different?
He wore it differently than all of the other drivers. I don't know exactly how that was, but I just know that he didn't wear it exactly like everybody else.
This happened pretty early in the season. Will the season continue, or?
The season will continue. Yes, sir.
Will anything be done to the driver who hit Dale?
That is, I don't know at this time. I don't think it was intentional.
For the driver who did hit Dale, do you know if he suffered from any injuries at all?
Not at this time. I haven't heard any reports of Ken Trader reporting any kind of injuries or anything like that, so not at this time.
Mr. Earnhardt's son, Dale Earnhardt Jr., he drives too. Will he continue racing this season?
I haven't heard any reports of him not continuing racing. No, sir.
Do you know where the funeral will be held?
No arrangements have been made yet. It's still pretty early.
You said this was towards the final lap. Could fatigue have played a factor in why Dale or Mr. Earnhardt was not able to recover as quickly as possible?
There are many factors that could have took place out there. No one knows 100% for sure. We're thinking that the main factor was based on the impact that he received.
Do you know how fast the other driver was going?
I don't know exactly how fast, but I assume it was pretty close to 180 miles per hour.
Will NASCAR do anything to make these races safer so no one else loses their life?
So yeah, as I said in my opening statement, we are looking at our regulations and things like that. We're looking at the retaining walls that we have. Can we make those safer? We're looking at the restraints that we ask our drivers to wear. Can we make those a little bit safer? And the protective headgear as well.
So what exactly did Dale die from?
Dale died from injuries to the head and also the skull and the upper area of his body.
So which would suggest that maybe he was not buckled in his seat if he suffered head and chest injuries. Would that be accurate to say?
I cannot confirm at this time.
I guess the reason I'm asking is 'cause how would you explain how he was able to have those types of injuries?
It could have been due to the way that he liked to wear his seatbelt.
That's what I'm getting at. Was he? Do you think that he maybe wasn't restrained in it properly that would lead to something like that?
Right, I do
Or
believe.
were the belts faulty?
I do believe that he was not properly restrained, and then the investigation is ongoing to see if his restraints were faulty, but it's just too early to tell at this time.
So from this point on, are you guys going to make sure that everybody is seatbelted in the proper way instead of just what they prefer?
Yes, ma'am.
You said he died at the hospital, not he didn't die on the track.
So, talking to the paramedics, they believe that he died on impact, and they tried to resuscitate him on the track.
So he was just pronounced dead at the hospital, but they believe that he probably died on the track.
They believe that he died from impact, but they tried to resuscitate him while trying to get him out of the vehicle.
I know that the seatbelt manufacturer owned by Mr. Simpson, which owns the Simpson seatbelts, I know that he and Dale Earnhardt go way back. They've been friends for a really, really long time. They kind of came into the sport at about the same time. Has Mr. Simpson had a statement at all about Dale's death, and if so, what was it?
He has not released a statement just yet, not that I'm aware of.
Will Daytona be open for next season? Like, is the track okay?
Daytona will be open next season. However, we're hoping that we can put some new safety regulations in place to make it that much safer for our drivers.
Since Mr. Earnhardt was such a popular driver, are you worried about the popularity of the sport decreasing after his death?
I don't worry about the popularity of the sport decreasing, just because I feel like his legacy can transcend the sands of time, and hopefully it will live on through his son, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Will NASCAR do anything to honor his death, like hold a vigil or anything?
I've heard talks of retiring his car number and also the color scheme of his car.
How is Dale Earnhardt Jr. reacting to his father's death, and where is he currently?
He's currently still in Daytona. They're on their way back to their hometown. I haven't heard any word of how he's doing just now, but I can just imagine. Well, I can't imagine losing my father, so I assume that he's taking it pretty hard.
Has he or his PR reps made any statements regarding his father's death?
Not at this time, no, sir.
I guess it's got to be a bittersweet moment for the Earnhardt family in that, his wife Teresa's at the race, and Dale and Teresa both own the car of the eventual winning driver, Michael Waltrip. And it's got to be bittersweet for them. So how did the post-race celebration, how did that go in the light of the fact that her husband just passed away, but yet their car won the race?
I assume that the Earnhardt family's focus is mainly on Dale Earnhardt Sr., but I can imagine that it is a bittersweet win. Had Dale Earnhardt Sr. Took third place, all of the cars, first, second, and third, would have been owned by Dale Earnhardt. So I can assume that it is a very bittersweet moment, but I just assume that their focus is just on their loved one.
Has the winner of the race made a statement about Dale Earnhardt's death?
I am not sure.
How old was Dale?
Dale was 49.
Will seeing one of their co-racers die on the track, do you think that will affect any of the other racers in being willing to race in the future?
I don't think it'll affect their willingness to race in the future. It has to be some kind of feeling when you experience a loss, And so, but just in the spirit of NASCAR isn't always a contact sport, and when it is, it can get deadly. And so I just assume that they are taking it as hard as everyone else, but they will race again.
I know that they have a sort of headset that they talk to their team on. Do you know if he was able to say any last words and if his team heard them, or did it all happen too fast for him to be able to process that?
Honestly, I'm not sure what took place inside of the car. I'm sure that report will come as the investigation unfolds.
Is his team saying anything yet, or have they made a statement?
Not at this time.
Do you think that the model of the speedway had anything to do with the accident?
I really think the accident 100% took place just because of impact. Dale was very familiar with that track. He's raced it quite a few times.
Do you have regulations in place for when that type of crash happens? Are there crews on standby, or do you have anything in place in case of a deadly crash?
There were crews on standby. There were firefighters on the scene with hydraulic tools, which were used to extract Dale from the vehicle. And so we do have things in place. This isn't the first time a crash like this has happened at the NASCAR track. Hopefully, it'll be the last, so we don't have to hold another press conference such as this.
Does anyone blame Ken Schrader for Dale's death?
It's not that I'm aware of.
I mean, you guys just basically lost the face of your sport, and how is Ken Schrader reacting to it? I mean, he obviously had a hand in it.
I haven't heard any reports from Ken Schrader either. But there are many faces in the sport of NASCAR who Americans have grown to love. Dale was one of the big ones. And so moving forward, we hope that his son can really keep his memory alive.
Do you expect to see any backlash from Dale Earnhardt fans towards Ken Schrader about this?
That's definitely a possibility with any diehard fans. But we just encourage them to not really blame Ken Schrader. It's a sport that we know that these type of things can happen, but we're going to do everything in our power to prevent them moving forward. I have time for 2 more questions. Yes.
You said that they were going to retire his number. What was his number?
His number was 3, and it was black, red, and white. But they haven't officially confirmed that yet. It's just been talks.
Is it common for there to be a crash on the final lap?
Yes, there is. Just because that's like when it's down to like the nitty gritty, and so you really want to take that spot home. So I assume there is, yes, sir. And that's all the time that I have for today. If you would like more information about this, you can find it on Dale Earnhardt's website and the media. Thank you.